How about if I play something a little more lively? This is a tune I wrote for my son, one of my sons, my oldest son, whose name is Taji, and Taji's 25 now, but he's a talented musician. He's not really pursuing it, certainly not professionally, but he was a good drummer. He is a good drummer. So this is a tune that we were playing together one day, and I wrote this tune. It's called Taji's Groove. So it's kind of a traditional sounding, straight ahead jazz tune. So.
Now this, the previous one you had, Field Theory?
Field Theory, yeah.
Something like that you said was inspired by a friend of yours?
Yeah, some musicians, yeah. Actually, the same pianist that I wrote the other one for you, I think it was before you came. His name is Frank Kimbrough, somebody that inspired me a lot, somebody I got to study with a little and become friends with, who passed away a couple years ago. But this was before he passed away, and it wasn't just him. There's a drummer actually named Jeff Hirschfield. That's where the field came from, just trying to find something to play on the names, you know. But I like the way they play together. They play together a lot, and I got to actually play with Jeff, the drummer. I got to play with him a few times a couple years ago. He came down. He and his wife came down from New York, and I got to play a couple of gigs with him, and we hit it off, and it was fun playing with him. And I just like the way they played together, and that tune I wrote sort of in like that. I think of them when I play.
And how long does it take for you to come up with
a song? Write a song?
Yeah.
It depends. Sometimes an hour, you know. Sometimes a week or 2 weeks or something. You know, it just depends. This
it's
one
so different because not too long ago there was something on TV about the Beatles.
Yeah, sure.
They dug up all kinds of old stuff
and
how they used to record and everything.
I haven't seen that, but I want to see it.
Yeah, it goes on, and then they talk about how they hum in the bathroom or whatever, and they get this thing in their head or while they're sleeping, and then they jot it down, and then they kind of banter back and forth. And then somebody will add something, and then within a fairly short period of time in the recording studio, they come up and you can see it. It's all in that movie.
Sure.
This this must be a totally different kind of methodology.
It is different, yes. I mean, usually when I write, I don't usually have a preconceived idea. I mean, I might say, well, I'm going to write a tune for this person, you know, like this. I said, well, I should write a tune for Jeff and Frank because I like the way they play together. So maybe I'll write something that I might imagine them playing, you know. But I didn't sit down there and go like, okay, I didn't have a melody or chords or anything in mind. Usually what I do is I just sit down. I'll show you. I'll write a tune for you. I go, okay, let's see. Okay, I get that sound. I say, okay. Find some sounds that I like.
You just made that up?
Yeah, just playing. It's just some, you know, simple things, but I'll play around with something until I come up with something that I like, and then I'll go stop and go try to remember what I just came up with, and you know, try to remember it. You know, thank God for this.
You know? Yeah, keep it on video board.
I got a recording. You know, I keep the phone by me, or keep a digital recorder. Sometimes, if I really start to come up with something that I like, I'll record a piece of it, you know, so I won't forget it. But if I keep going back and forth, I'll just piece together things. It's usually how I write stuff, you know. And so sometimes it's real fast. Sometimes it's real clear and it's real fast. And other times, like I say, it can take, can take several days or a week or 2 weeks sometimes, you know. Some things I'm still working on, a couple things that I started writing months ago. I just never went back to them. And in fact, I found a couple things on a recording of something I recorded. I'm like, what's that? I completely forgot about that, so maybe I'll go back and work on it some, you know. But generally, I like to sit down and have a real clear idea about it before I walk away from it, because then it's pretty much gone.
Yeah. You know? That's the greatness with music and so many other things.
Yeah.
It just takes that moment of silence that is followed by
exactly. You know, I think it's the same. Like a lot of people, like scientists, mathematicians, people like this talk about it too. They're working on something, and then that just a moment of inspiration comes and you get a vision. It's like a spiritual experience, right? You have a moment of clear vision, right? and we've all experienced that, right?
But it's kind of brief. In your case, you've got to stretch it out to a song. I mean, you can't just play one little bit and say.
You have to. You have to get in a space where you're. I like getting in that space. When I get in that space, I like to try to stay there until I get something, but it's working at it. I mean, it's experience too. I've been doing this. I've been writing tunes for 40 years,
And before that, you did study music.
Yeah, I still study music. I still when I teach, and so it's constant. I mean, I've studied because I'm teaching a lot of students, and I'm always trying to find the best way to teach them as well. So.
I'm no musician, but sometimes when I hear people speak, everybody has their little way of, and that will catch my interest.
Yeah.
Some people speak very musically.
Absolutely, yeah.
And some people speak not the words, but just their tone.
The tone,
and it's more aggressive or more sharp.
Sure. And and some languages are more like Asian languages. I don't know Indian. I don't understand Indian language very well at all, but like Chinese, for example, is very much tonal. Japanese is very it's very musical. Asian people generally have a much higher rate of having perfect pitch.
If you were to listen to Malayalam, which is a language from the southern part of India.
What's it called?
Malayalam.
It's
a palindrome.
Malayalam.
It's a palindrome if you were to put it.
Oh, I see. Okay, Malayalam.
The same thing. Yeah. Sorry, did I use the right word?
Yeah.
Sure, it's a palindrome.
Yeah, palindrome is right. Yes.
Sorry. So that is very musical, and it's not like Japanese or Chinese where you go straight notes. It's more flow.
Yeah. It sounds musical to me when
On
I hear it.
the other hand, the state that's just adjacent to the state where they speak this Malayalam language is Tamil.
Oh yeah,
which is, where I grew up. And that language, it's like scissors. If you hear, it's like tuck, 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 tuck. It's like.
What about Marathi?
Marathi as well, actually. It's quite closer to Japanese and Chinese. It's more, they have a little bit of intonation, but they're more sharp than Malayalam. Malayalam is a lot more musical.
I see.
Musicality in that you.
The teacher of my teacher spoke Marathi.
Yeah.
Indian, Indian man.
I was actually thinking about the pacing that you were using in the music. I'm uninitiated to jazz, but I learned a little bit of classical music from India. I was wanting to ask, is the pacing taught or is it interpretation?
Is it basic what?
Is the pacing in as in the rhythm in your music, is it notated and taught with a calculation or is it perception?
I'm not sure how to answer that question, but I mean, like for example, when I have a song like that song I just played, that's it. That's the whole thing.
Okay.
So it's just that's the melody, and these are the harmonies. The chord, we call them chord changes. These are the symbols for the chords that go with it. And then I play the melody using and the chords as harmonic backup, and then I improvise using the harmonic structure. I improvise like in Indian music.
Right.
I mean, in Indian music, it's all improvisational, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same with jazz, but it's a different type of improvisation because in Indian music, it's all one rag that you're improvising around, right? Here, the harmonies can change. In fact, this one changes keys a couple times, but that's the difference. But it's still based on improvisation. It's improvisational,
Right.
So it's not the same each time. I mean, it's the same basic harmony, the same structure.
Right.
But the improvisation is going to be different each time.
Okay.
Yeah, the interpretation. Does that sort of answer your question?
Yeah, I was asking more on the rhythm side of it.
Oh, the rhythm. Okay.
Rhythm.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's this. This is in 4/4, and this is like we call it straight eighths. It's like a Latin sort of Latin feel. So it's almost like Brazilian music again, which I played some before you guys came in. But it's 4/4 rhythm, but it's a more almost Latin feel.
Right.
So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to play something that's more swing feel, like we call straight ahead swing. This is the tune I wrote for my son, and it's a little up tempo, and I bet I got to be careful not to speed up, because if I speed up, I won't be able to play the melody at the end. But this is just called Taji's Groove. So.
I can't even imagine how that experience would have been when it came.
What's that now?
I can't even imagine how that experience was when it came to life.
Oh yeah. It was fun because I wrote it playing with my son, and it was like, okay, we came up with a tune,
So he was playing the drums then?
Yeah, playing together.
So when you write these tunes, in your head, do you have other instruments that fill in and all that?
Well, I have a trio that I play with, which is bass and drums, upright bass and drums, and myself. And but I mean, any kind of jazz group could take one of these tunes and play it, So I mean, I play by myself. Obviously, I play by myself, but
there are some that are just solo.
Well, I mean, any of them could be played with a group as well. I mean, all these songs are. I mean, they're jazz tunes. Basically, any of them could be played with a group, and I do play them with my group. Well, we had a thing last week. I played with a trio last week,
and everybody improvises their own way.
Well, yeah, everybody plays together. So everybody has their own part to play. It's like a conversation. It's like a conversation, really. I mean, we're all playing we're all playing the same tune, and we're keeping the same place, and we're playing the same harmonies, but we're all listening to each other too. So maybe I'll play something, and I'll play something, and the drummer will say, okay, I'll play that with him, or the bass player will answer. It's like a conversation. I say it's the most democratic form of music, because everybody can speak their part, freely, and as long as sorry.
No, finish your thought.
No, I was just saying it's a conversation, and everybody's taking their own, saying what they have to say, expressing what they have to say.
At the same time.
But all together, talking with each other. But at the same time, everybody has a responsibility too to contribute, and so it's.
But I guess there's a framework within which that conversation is taking place.
Sure, absolutely, yes.
So that answers how classical music or any classical music.
Yes.
And jazz with the improvisations is understood by the people playing their roles because they all know the framework.
Yes, we all have the same framework. Like I could go to India tomorrow and walk in a jazz club and say, hey, let's play some blues and see, and they'll go, okay, great, let's play. And because it's a common language as far as that. Now I couldn't walk in and say, hey, let's play this unless I had a copy for everybody and they could all read it. They might, maybe not everybody's able to do that. Depends on where everybody is as far as their level of development or understanding or whatever, But
no, I was going to ask your trio where you said, is it in Greenville?
Well, I'm in Greenville. My drummer lives in Asheville, and my bass player lives in Charlotte. So we only get together pretty much.
Zoom session.
It's when we get together, you can't really do that with music, unfortunately. But we get together, and when we have a gig or when we made these CDs together. The two of those are trio CDs with my trio, and so.
Do you have people here in Greenville that you get together with?
I mean, sometimes if I get a gig, if I get some work, there's a small community. There's not a very big community of musicians here that play the type of music that I play, so it's limited, actually, very limited. I could count on one hand.
We used to go to this place near, Pomegranate, the
yes,
restaurant.
Yeah, sure.
Down next to the Pomegranate, there was. You remember what the thing was called, Jairaj? It was some kind of coffee shop like thing.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it right off, but yes.
It's right next to that Pomegranate.
Rainers or something.
Rainers.
Yeah, they do some music there. Yeah, I played there once or twice. Yeah, there aren't really venues to do what I do here. What I'm doing here, you can't go out and hear this in Greenville anywhere. So except unless you come to hear my solo gig, and I'll play some of this, but I play lots of stuff there. I play all kind of different stuff there. I'll play pop tunes, and I play Great American Songbook, Gershwin and Cole Porter, and those things too. Maybe I'll play something like that for you too, if you like. I'll play a Cole Porter tune for you. Yeah. Yes. You like? Okay.
About jazz, I remember being, British Village. I'll be quick. But what is it? Because you've got the trio.
Yeah.
And there they are, and then all of a sudden, boom! You
Yeah.
land on the. It's like the sentence just ends.
Yeah.
And it's this beautiful moment.
It's because everybody knows
that's
where
the
we are in
framework,
the song. It's a structure, like it's a certain number of bars and the harmony.
And so it's coming. As a listener, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
It's
trio
not
just
necessarily
lands.
random, but sometimes it's serendipitous, I would say.
Yeah, I was always like, whoa!
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Okay, I'll play my favorite Cole Porter song for you. This is called Dream Dancing. You know this song? great song.
That was a simple song for you.
That's a great song.
I feel like, I feel geschmeicheld.
Cole Porter, he's a great. He wrote some great music. I mean, he's one of our great composers
I
in
think it's
America.
great the way you jazz it up a little bit. It sounds different.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's totally jazzed up.
I'm intended, right?
I'm sorry.
I mean, little jazzed up, not little. You jazzed it up totally. Nothing left of the song. It's. Can you play something simple?
Sure, if you like. Yeah.
No, it's a joke.
Oh, you want to sing
No,
along?
I don't want to.
Let me play. Actually, I know you're being funny, making a joke, but a lot of what we play is based on simply like blues, like some of those things are less complicated. I mean, I sort of tend to play complicated, because it's more interesting to me to play something that has interesting harmonies, But it's also, in a way, it's more challenging to play something simple and do something with it. This is a very simple song I wrote. Actually, this is a song I wrote for an old friend. It's called Chinese Little Woman. It's a waltz, and it's very simple actually. It's in the key of C minor, and everything is in the key of C minor. So it's pretty simple actually. But I mean, I don't know if you'll think it sounds that way when I play it, and I won't play it a long time. But anyway, I wrote this tune 40 years ago, or almost 40 years ago. Anyway.